Entertainment Soldier here, and I'm back to talk about Star Trek Prodigy and the fact that it's been saved, apparently, by Netflix. And I'm going to give you my thoughts on it and explain why this is not exactly what you would call a massive save. There's also news about Star Trek Lower Decks, which I just find really funny as well. But let's get to the main topic. Star Trek Prodigy Season 2 moves to Netflix after Paramount cancellation. So apparently Netflix has decided to buy Star Trek Prodigy. I have no idea why. I also have no idea what they plan to gain from this. I mean, Paramount is probably so happy this has happened for them, because they're going to cancel this show, not just cancel it, pretty much erase it from their app. So, yeah, they get to make a little bit of money from Netflix, from them showing this show, and they might have not wasted the money on Prodigy, because now Netflix is going to buy it, and now they're going to stream it and have to pay them a little bit of money. So, yes, in a way, yes, Star Trek Prodigy has been saved. I am, not denying that. But Netflix has not said anything about a season 3. Netflix also has not said how much they're paying for Prodigy. And again, to say the show has been saved when Season 2 was obviously going to be shown on Paramount eventually, I don't see how this is a massive win. Netflix has bought a show for cheap. Again, it's a show that was getting cancelled completely, and Netflix has just paid some money so they can show it. Again, if you're a Prodigy fan, this is probably fantastic news for you, because now you can go on Netflix and watch it and, enjoy yourselves. And again, if you like Prodigy, good for you. But this isn't a save, okay? Netflix is not going to renew it for a season 3. Paramount's not going to renew it for a season 3. So where's the save? Season 2 is still going to be the last fucking season. So, I don't know why there's so many Prodigy fans going nuts on Twitter and saying this is a massive win. Again, it is a win. I will give you that. It is a win. But Netflix is not going to give you a season 3. This show ends after season 2. So, again, I could be wrong. Netflix may be trying to keep the show going for a couple more seasons. I don't know. But they are going to have to talk to Paramount about that, and CBS. And if they've already cancelled the show, I don't see why they'd bother keeping it going. And I doubt Netflix is going to try to take the full weight of costs of keeping the show going too. Because I don't think Netflix will want to go this alone. I think they want Paramount to keep going with it. They'll probably want money from them. And again, Paramount is losing a lot of money. They're cancelling shows left and right. And there was a reason they cancelled Prodigy. It wasn't because it was a fantastic show. It was because it was just a small, childish, boring show. Okay, that's what it got cancelled for. Nobody was watching it, especially kids. And they were not making money from it. So I am very confused with why Netflix has decided to buy it. So that's why I seem to think they probably got it for cheap, and Paramount said they've already basically finished season 2, so they can get season 2 as well in the deal. So Netflix doesn't really risk that much from having this show on their streaming service, and Paramount makes a little bit of money. It makes business sense to just sell the show for Paramount. And for Netflix, they may get a couple of subscribers to their app. So, but again, nothing has been said about season 3. Netflix has not said anything about keeping the show going. So, how is this a massive win? Because I keep hearing that from Prodigy fans. This is a massive win. But it isn't. Yes, the show was going to be erased from Paramount, but if you're a fucking Prodigy fan, didn't you buy the Blu-ray? Didn't you buy the DVD? I mean, you could also watch it free online. I mean, it going to Netflix, it's a big deal, yes. I have to say yes, because it is a big deal that Netflix has decided to buy this. It is. But again, nothing has been said about season 3. Nothing has been said about keeping these characters going. All that's been said is Netflix is going to buy 2 seasons of a show that's basically finished. So I don't think this is the biggest of saves. I think it's just it's good news if you're a Prodigy fan, but it's not good news if we don't get any information about a season 3. And that's my thoughts on that. But let's talk about something that's actually funny today, which I have been saying for a long time now about Star Trek Lower Decks. So, Star Trek Lower Decks. Long-term plans may not seem its fruition. And the animated comedy could end with season 5, says Lower Decks creator and executive producer Mike McCain. Lower Decks is currently in the middle of season 4, and Lower Decks season 5 is in development for summer 2024 release. So, what is this about? Why am I talking about Star Trek Lower Decks, and why has it made me laugh? Well, basically, Michael is kind of freaking out on Twitter. He is freaking out because there has been some talk about a cancellation, and now Mike has gone to Twitter to ask Lower Decks fans to talk about Lower Decks, to give it some hype, because it looks like Paramount might be getting rid of Lower Decks. Now, listen, Lower Decks is not a terrible show. It is not. It's not a fantastic show. It's mid to shit. That's as best as I could do with Lower Decks. Mid to shit. Do I think this show is going to get cancelled? Obviously, yes. And this just proves that it's probably going to happen. Again, if you're the executive producer of a show and you're running to Twitter to beg the fans to hype up your show, it only means one thing. The show is on the chopping board. The show is looking at a cancellation. I have been saying this. The biggest problem with New Trek, especially Lower Decks, because Lower Decks could actually be good if they actually put some work in, if they actually writ some stories that weren't just comedy, if they actually took the series seriously, that show could be good. Unfortunately, they tried to make it a Rick and Morty rip-off, which just makes it shit. But the biggest problem, rewatchability. You cannot rewatch these shows, these new tracks. Definitely can't rewatch Discovery because you want to kill them. Trust me, I know. Try watching that shit. But with the other shows, there is no rewatchability. Okay? And I'm not going to say that it makes me angry to rewatch Lower Decks episode, because it doesn't. It's just nothing that actually wants me to. The episodes are not that interesting. They're not that funny. They're not Star Trek. They're comedy bullshit, most of them. Again, if you can't rewatch the episodes, and all I'm going to do is watch it once and forget about it, your show is dead. Why has Star Trek lasted for so fucking long? Rewatchability. You can rewatch a season of Next Generation and not get bored. I have watched so much Star Trek so many times. It's fucking so enjoyable. I can literally, I don't even need to watch an episode. I can just close my eyes and watch it from memory. That's how much I've rewatched Star Trek. The good Star Trek. The real Star Trek. Not the new shit. Because the new shit, again, and I will even put Star Trek Picard Season 3 in this category. Because again, the show was great. The season was great. It really was. Can you rewatch it? Yes, you can. But again, it's not at the same standard as original Star Trek. Because when you watch original Star Trek, the episodes are not just interesting. They're not just, fun, exciting. They get you thinking. Episodes like yesterday's episode, The Measure of a Man, Q-Who. I mean, the final 2 episodes of Next Generation from Season 7. And my favourite episode from all Star Trek history. In the Pale Moonlight, where you had Sisko having to get the Romulans into the war. And having to do all the dirty shit, all the spy stuff with Garrick. And having to accept that, to save the Federation, you got to do a lot of terrible shit. So, episodes like that, episodes that you want to rewatch, that are so interesting, that you would want to rewatch to find out what you missed last time, that's how Star Trek survived. Because every time you rewatch a Star Trek episode, it's kind of just like the first time. They were that good. You can watch entire seasons and not get bored. But with the new stuff, you can get bored every time. Last week, the last episode of Lower Decks I watched, boring, annoying at some points. And again, if your show has not got re-watch ability, it's never going to survive. And I'm afraid I don't see a future for Lower Decks. I think this is going to get cancelled. I think the last 2 episodes of Lower Decks were either boring or pointless. This show hasn't got a future. This show is going to get cancelled, and it should be. Too much of New Trek is pointless and boring. Again, Season 3 of Picard is the exception, and it was great. It really was. But when you compare it to the real Star Trek, that's not really... It doesn't, measure up to it. It still has problems. It still has the joke shit. It's still a great season. But when we move away from it with time, we are pretty much getting to that point of, yeah, it was okay. Maybe because we've had so much crap Star Trek, we have had a kind of, man in the desert, gets his first, glass of water. It's the best water he's had ever. And I do kind of think Picard Season 3 was that kind of moment. It's still a great season. I still enjoy it. But, again, put it up against real Star Trek, it comes a little bit close, but not as much as it should do. So, yeah. I'm not exactly... Listen, Lower Decks, it could have a future. But the writers need to realise they're writing Star Trek, not fucking Rick and Morty. They really need to get that through their head. But I don't think they're going to have time. This is a panic move by Mike. It's a panic move because the show looks like it's going to get cancelled. And I don't just think this will be the last thing to get cancelled. I think Strange New Worlds as well. I think that last season was a disaster. I think the season took the piss. And I think the fans walked away a very long time ago. So I think the majority of new Trek's going to get cancelled. Maybe Netflix will buy a couple of these shows on the cheap, but I think Kurtzman's done. Hopefully. But time will tell. And that's the end. If you like this video, give it a like. If you dislike this video, give it a dislike. And if you have any comments, leave them down below and I'll try to get back to them. And if you like my content, do think about subscribing. Entertainment Mode Soldier. Bye.